सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति 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 ॐ कपिलाय नमस्तस्मै येनाविद्यो दधौ जगदिमग्ने आरुण्यात् साङ्ख्यमयी नौरिव विहिता प्रतरणाय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Discussion on Trayodasha Karanas, 13 instruments, 3 internal instruments and 10 external instruments. So Karanam Trayodasha Vidham. So continuing with the discussion, the 33 and 34, 35 Karikas, they are all discussing about the Karanas with different combinations and different functions. In 32 Karika, it has been mentioned there. So the Aharana Dharana Prakashakaram, the common functions of these 13 Karanas. Now, out of these functions, internal and external instruments have some differences. So that is discussing in 33 Karika. Antakaranam trividham dashadha bahyam trayasya vishayakhyam Antakaranam trividham dashadha bahyam trayasya vishayakhyam Sampratakalam bahyam trikalam abhyantaram karanam Sampratakalam bahyam trikalam abhyantaram karanam Out of these 13 Indriyas, Karanas, 3 Antakaranam Trividham, the threefold Antakarana. The Antakarana, internal instruments. So Karana means instrument, but this is 3 different functions of the same mind or the combination of mind. So Antakaranam Trividham, this is called Antakarana. Dashadha Bahyam Trayasya Vishayakhyam. So tenfold is external Bahyam, but this tenfold external instruments are object to the internal instruments. Trayasya Vishayakhyam. It is called these external instruments, the sense organs and the motor organs both together can be called as object of internal organs, internal instrument like antakarana. So it is very clear that whatever we see, we observe through antakarana. So all the indriyas and in their functions are seen and known by the mind combination. Therefore, this mind combination is observer. Antakaranasya vishayakhyam. And moreover, this external instruments bring all the objects to the internal instruments. That's also there. This way also we can say that. So called object at that. And two more points regarding this. Sampratakalam Bhashyam. So the external instruments are Sampratakalam. Sampratakalam means only they perceive the present object. So what is present? Present time. The Samprata, the present time. So Sampratakalam Bhashyam. If the sound is produced, then you can hear. So you cannot hear the sound which is already gone, or the future sound you cannot hear. Only the present sound you can hear. Therefore, that is called Bhahyam Sampratakalam. Now, Trikalam Abhyantaram Karanam. But the internal part, that internal instruments, Abhyantaram Karanam, it can perceive, it can know Trikalam. All that is what happening in future, happened in past, and happening in present and in future. So Trikalam, it can know that. How it know that? By memory, it knows the past, and by imagining, it knows the future. And present, what is presented by this sense organs, it knows that what is presented, that is already known. The present is known by this. The time of past and present and future. Now, here they are discussing about the time. Now, when we say present, how this present time is known by us? What is present? The present can be said as when one action starts, the starting point of action, and the completion of that action. In between, the time gap, the span of time is called present. Present is not the present moment, that is also present, but where the action starts and ends. Like we are starting the class in a particular time, and it goes on for 1 hour or 50 minutes. So that is all 15 minutes is present. So the it can why it is said, because we say the lecture is going on, or lecture class is going on. We are sitting and listening and lecturing. So everywhere we use the present tense, present active tense. So therefore, it is present only. So like our life, maybe we passed 50 years, but this 50 year is present. We are living, this the life. So you cannot say past. So it means, according to grammar, the present means समारब्ध क्रियायाः परिसमाप्ति पर्यंत काल विशेषः समानम, ऐसा कहा. समारब्ध क्रियायाः परिसमाप्ति पर्यंत काल विशेष. So you cannot say what is present. You have to take an action, a work, something is happening, and then connect with that action and the object or the thing with which you are acting, where the action is. So these all connected to present tense. So therefore, present tense cannot be defined without the object. Present tense or present time cannot be defined without an object, without an action. Because where there is action, there will be some element, something connected to that action. Because without a actor, without a doer, there cannot be an action. Then what does it mean? Now what is this present time means? So it is very interesting. There is no present time. So it is only action. We call the action as present time. The time is a superimposed concept which we all accept. Actually, there is no time. Only action is there. Means something is happening. Some movement is happening. Some vibration is happening. So, if you take an action, the subtle form of action is called vibration. Okay. So, this is called the time, but that is also connected to an object. Therefore, the object is important here. Now, how then this experience of time can be distinguished from our experience and object? If you try to contemplate on time, you will not find anything. You will not get any idea of what the time is. So, when you apply your mind for contemplation, the mind is working, the thought process is there. In that thought process, apart from an object, no existence, no entity as time, which you experience without an object. So, all concept of time is based on particular actions, momentum in our thought process starting from there. So we believe in time. Time is just a belief or a concept. Therefore, this present tense, if present tense is not there, you cannot describe and prove what is present tense is. Then there is no past. Obviously, there is no future. Because future and past is based on present. Only you can say one action started and that action is continuing and the action ends. The ending point and starting point we know. In between we concept or imagine the time. So we just imagine the time that something is there. So the starting point and ending point. We remember both of this, and it been in between the gap is there. So we take the support of clock or any timepiece or something, and we say this is the time we passed this much time, this much action is completed. So the completion on starting point and the completing point, both compared, is called time. So that is what Sankhya says. But all other philosophers, they take kala, time, as a separate entity, even though it is conceptual, but they admit it is there. But Sankhya says it is all only a concept for our day-to-day business. What we do, we need some communication for that. It is there. And when sun rises, the day starts. Then our clock starts. And when sun sets, the 12 hours completed. So from sunset to sunrise and sunrise to sunset. So we have made this clock. And that is based on the movement of sun. That's all. And movement of moon, movement of stars, and movement of earth. This is all time concept we have. Based on that, we have made all these clocks. So it is interesting to know, there is one sutra in Sankhya. They say, Dikkalau akashadibhyah. Dikkalau akashadibhyah. Time and directions. Directions means the east, west, and that's the directions. And time is not apart from space. So this is what the Einstein said, and this is what the this quantum physics talk about, all these time space connection and also these theories. So they have not established this, because for them it is very, very simple thing. Because they just made a sutra and declare it, the time and direction. Direction means we are just imagining the direction, the east and west, according to the sunrise and sunset. So direction and time is not separate, apart from akashadibhyah. So akasha and others. Now Sankhya Sutra 2:12. This sutra is very important, and people do research on this sutra. How could they say this? Very clearly. And same thing is repeated in Vyasa Bhashya. There also it said, Sakhalam vastu shunyo buddhi nirmanaha kalopi shabda jnananupati. He says, no, this time, no kala. This kala is vastu shunya. It is not an entity. This vastu shunya, it has no reality. So this time has no reality. Now how it is appearing? But the buddhi nirmanaha, this is made by people. Their mind, they make this time. So buddhi nirmanaha, made by mind. This time is shabda jnana anupati. But this time is also there in our day-to-day life. We are using it. But we are using the word time, and we are calculating the time. We are doing our works on time. Everything is there, but there is no time. The Shabda Jnana Anupati. Shabda Jnana means the word is used, the concept is there, but it is imaginary. It has no real, it is not real. There is no, it is an unreal imagination. Then Laukikanam Vidhyata Chittanam Vastu Swarupa Iva Ubhasata. But people who are ignorant, if they are not thinking about this, for them it seems to be real. Time is real for them. They are after it. They are doing everything on time. So Vithyata Jittana. Vithyata Jitta means they are materialistic people. Their mind is, they are not thinking and contemplating on this time. Therefore, Vastu Swarupa Iva Bhasate. For them it become real. It seems to be real. But time is unreal. That is what Vyasa Bhashya 352. In Pavandrana Darshana you can see 352. Third Pada 52 Sutra. So there is no time. Now, how then this can be said? So without time, because thought process is based on actions, all the thought process. So each action has an object and a subject, of course. The doer will be, thinker will be there. Knower, doer, thinker will be there. The subject and object. We have subject and object. And what is our subject? For the sake of discussion, we can say the consciousness is subject. And object is Prakriti. Okay. So we have Purusha and Prakriti. With their combinations, with their union, we create all the objects outside. So the objects also with this subject and object in that condition. But apart from this, there is no time or there is no need for time. Both these, if the Prakriti and Purusha is there, the union is there, then the action will take place. It will happen because the manifestations autonomously it works. So there is no other force needed, as said before. In the case of prana, in the case of indriyas, in the case of intellect, so there is no other force is there. It works its own. So now, therefore, this is why I am taking this point is, here it says the present time, that samprata kalam. It means the time is defined by conditions. It is a state of mind or a state of action. It's called time. It is a condition when we are in act. Like now I am talking, so I am speaking, that is my action. So this action is compared to time. And if I am not speaking also, I am doing some action because my life is there. So I am alive, that itself is an action. So from the birth to death, some actions will be there. So these actions are defined in different conditions. Conditions means, I think that's the only word we can use. Because in different stages, we do different actions. And then we compare the previous action to the present action and we plan for future action. So these three are compared each other, then the concept of time is conceptually accepted by mind. It is a concept in mind by comparing this. So what I can say, I did this first and then I am doing this and then I will do that. So the mind is controlling this. And when mind has not comparison, mind forget or lose this comparison or it cannot compare, like in the state of dream. The state of dream, there is no time because you cannot imagine a time. There is no comparison, there is no previous action and future action is connected. Therefore, you have no idea in how much time you dreamed. A particular dream, it was in which time and how much time it took. No idea, there is no time. You may be seeing like you are, you want to go to Bangalore or Delhi. So you just enter into the car. Dream is showing that. So you enter into the car, then next you will be there. in the Mumbai, like we see in the films, no, in the cinema. So the person entering into the car and then he is there in the destination. So similarly, there is no gap. So how it is possible? Because dream there is no time. Dream cannot compare time. So therefore, only incidents are there, the actions are there. So the actions already stored as vasanas. Already mind has imagined it and accepted it. So that vasanas are shown. So vasanas have no time, and then dream, therefore dream has no time. And then when you go to deep sleep, there is no time because mind is not there. So therefore, this present time is based on conditions and the actions. So this can be called as a time. So this is the speciality of Trikala Abhyantara Karanam. So the three Karanas, their speciality is the mind can imagine the past, or we can say the mind remembers the past and future. Now there is one more point, the same thing. In Yoga Sutra it is there. So when we remember some incidents and memory, is there time in memory? Can we say there is time in memory? No. Memory also has no time. Because time cannot be registered in memory. When you remember something, you remember the place where the incident happened, the object where the incident happens. And then you remember the objects in relation with the relation of objects where the incident happened. All the objects you may remember. The color and the face and the action. And the action, you will remember the action. Then the place, action and the object what you saw there. So these are there in the memory, what we remember. Now, how we bring the time? Because we say, I went there 10 years before and the date was like 6th July and all those you remember by the date and this. This is a additional information added to that. There is nothing connected with the incident there. Therefore, when you forget, you will first forget the time. The date and time and year you will forget. Because this is additional information added to that. There is nothing connected with that. So you will forget, I went there but I don't remember the date. No, maybe some years before, 2 years before. Some approximately you are try to understand that. But you will first you will forget the incident, the time, what you added. And then you may forget the place where it happened. And then you will forget the people who were gathered there. You will forget. And then what will remain is what emotion you felt there. It will remain for a longer time. So with that emotion, so if you had some bad feeling there, some suffering there, then you will remember who gave you suffering. That because the suffering is too much connected to that person or thing. Therefore, you will remember. But with that person who were there and what was the situation, you may not remember. So the emotional memory will last for a longer time. And it has nothing to do with the time. It may get faded as you slowly change your mind and then you accept it, then it may fade and then you will forget it, but the last memory will be the emotion what you had, the feeling. So this way it works. So what I am trying to say is there is no time registered in the mind. Here what we are giving the date and time, all this is a separate information. It's a biodata. You are just giving the time information. So the data you are giving, that is separately registered. So this way, no present time can be remembered. So no past can be remembered. Time, no future time can be remembered. Only you can remember the incidents and the actions. So therefore, according to Sankhya, the time is defined with conditions. That is imaginary. So it is unreal. Now we take 34th Karika. Again connected with this discussion only. The objects of Indriyas, different kinds of objects. Buddhindriyani tesham pancha vishesha vishesha vishayani. Buddhindriyani tesham pancha vishesha vishesha vishayani. Vagbhavati shabda vishaya sheshani tu pancha vishayani. Vagbhavati shabda vishaya sheshani tu pancha vishayani. So we have two kinds of indriyas. Now here it is mentioned two kinds of indriyas and their two kinds of objects. Buddhi indriyani tesham pancha vishesha vishayani. So buddhi indriyas we already know, the indriyas of cognition, sense organs. They have 5 objects. How the 5 objects we already know, sound and all those. But vishesha avishesha vishayani. Vishesha means the objects in gross form. Vishesha, specific, gross form. And the object in avishesha vishayani, non-specific, in subtle form. So this buddhindriyas can know, cognize all this vishesha and avishesha, the gross specific and non-specific subtle. So vishesha and avishesha. In avishesha we will see tanmatras. We will see is this avishesha and vishesha, and the Karika number 38. 38 we will again discuss about this. So what are visheshas and what are avisheshas? So these are the objects of these indriyas. Now regarding karmendriyas, Vagbhavati Shabda Vishaya. Regarding karmendriya, the speech, the speaking organ. Now, what you say, the organ of speech. So it is only having one object as sound, because mouth can only produce sound. Vagbhavati Shabda Vishaya. Actually, mouth is not the organ of speech. Mouth is only part of that. Organ of speech is somewhere here, this part of the So we say kantha, say that is mouth of. Then what are all other, the tongue and the teeth and other parts, they support to produce the sound. So vak bhavati shabda vishaya, only one object it has. Sheshani tu pancha vishayani. Other four sheshani. Other four have all the five objects. Pancha vishayani. All the five objects. Now, like hand, when we hold something, the object we are holding may be a manifestation of earth and all other five elements. So the object which can be holded is made of all the five elements. Therefore, it is all the objects are there. The sound is also there, touch is also there, smell is also there. All the objects are there. Similarly, the legs, pada. So when we walk on the floor, on the earth. So the earth has all the five objects: sound, touch, smell, and these all are there. Taste and this. So therefore, it is all five elements. It's made of five elements. Seshani tu pancha vishayani. And similarly, the other two, the anus which discharge the waste, it is also made of five elements. And then the genitive organ, which its discharging also has all the five elements in that. So therefore, these four have all the five elements as the object. So sheshani tu pancha vishayani. So it is all connected to that. This vak bhavati shabda vishaya, because sound cannot take any other object. That is why. Because only sound can be produced. So no smell, no touch, nothing. Only sound is produced. Sheshani tu pancha vishaya. Now comes the importance of buddhi. Yesterday I mentioned this point, and this is very important in Sankhya, the importance of intellect, because intellect is doing everything. Intellect is the main actor here, main character. Why? Because after the union of the reflective union, reflected consciousness appears in intellect. So intellect works as if it is conscious. Actually, it has only reflected consciousness, but it works as if it itself is consciousness. So therefore, the buddhi is important. And Mahatattva, as when we say Mahatattva, the main great principle, cosmic intellect, and it is holding all the manifestations and the material cause of all the manifestation, and it is also reflected. So it's a production of that. So why buddhi is principal among the indriyas? Now that is described. We already know that, because the experience, what we call as experiences, all the experiences take place in intellect. If intellect is not working, then no experience can be experienced. And what is our life? Life is experience. So if there is no experience, then there is no life. So we can the thought process, or what we are thinking and we are doing and we are acting, we are getting the after effect of actions, and we are planning for future, and all this together is called life. And like yesterday we discussed, prana is also life. Prana is energy. If there is no energy, no vital force, there is no life. So this all together, all working together makes the life possible. Therefore, intellect is very important. Sandhakarana buddhi sarvam vishayam avagahate yasmat. Sandhakarana buddhi sarvam vishayam avagahate yasmat. Tasmat trividham karanam dwari dwarani sheshani. Tasmat trividham karanam dwari dwarani sheshani. Sandhakarana buddhi, together with the internal instruments of ahankara and manas, this intellect, this buddhi, sarvam vishayam avagahate, knows all the objects. Sarvam vishayam. Sarvam vishayam means past, present, future, all the objects. So sarvam vishayam avagahate buddhi yasmat. Since buddhi is knowing all the objects of present, future and past with the support of two other antahkaranas, ahankara and manas. Tasma, therefore, trividham karanam dwari. So this three karanas, trividham karanam, threefold karanas. So we have ahankara, mana and buddhi. These three karanas is called dwari. Dwari means who is standing on the door. So dwari, it's like a watchman, the master of doors. The master of doors is called dwari. So you see, this is one of the old style of explaining things. Why? Because he wants to explain in comparison with the other indriyas, these three indriyas are more important. Out of three, intellect will be principal character as a main. So that we will discuss next Karika. But tasmat karanam dwari. So these three are masters of doors. So now what are doors? Dwarani to sheshan. The dwara means door. So other 10 indriyas, they are gates, they are doors. So because through them all the objects comes. So then these three karanas, they will take over the objects and then send to the intellect, and then intellect will process and give to the exhibit to Purusha. This is what will happen. So objects are outside and then indriyas grasp that. Therefore they are called dwaras, doors, and through those doors it will be carried by dwaris, the masters of doors, or doorkeepers, gateman, or whatever we can say. So they will carry this to buddhi. So buddhi is also there. So this role mainly mind does. This is the duty of mind. But it is connected to ahankara also, because without ahankara mind cannot work. So mind and ahankara brings everything to buddhi. So dwarani sheshani. Tasmat trividham karanam dwari. Dwarani sheshani. एते प्रतीपकल्पा परस्पर विलक्षणा गुणविशेषाः एते प्रतीपकल्पाः परस्पर विलक्षणा गुणविशेषाः कृत्स्नं पुरुषस्यार्थं प्रकाश्य बुद्धौ प्रयच्छन्ति कृत्स्नं पुरुषस्यार्थं प्रकाश्य बुद्धौ प्रयच्छन्ति एते प्रतीपकल्पाः परस्पर विलक्षणाः गुणविशेषाः एते ये दिस indriyas and manas and ahankara, the external indriyas, mana and ahankaras, these are pratipakalpaha. It is like a lamp, the lighted lamp. The pratipaha, lighted lamp. They work together in cooperation with all these three. So they are like a pratipakalpa. Paraspara vilakshana. Pratipakalpa means when we light a lamp we need that bhakti, which is called wick, and then oil and fire and the stand, that what we say as lamp. So these four or three together works, then the light is lit up. So therefore wick, oil and fire combined together light forms. Similarly, these three or more than three added into that works together and then brings all the experience to this intellect, because they cannot give it to Purusha. Purusha has no connection with all these things. So intellect, what intellect does, intellect will exhibit whatever came to it. So whatever these organs brings inside, intellect will exhibit to the Purusha, in front of Purusha. So it means the reflection will be there, that you will know that this object has come, or I know it. Like if I am enjoying this object, so this means I know this, that's all. So this knowing itself is enjoying. So knowing will happen only in buddhi, because Purusha has nothing to do with it. So this enjoyment which is happening in buddhi, the reflected consciousness is attributed as enjoyer, because the reflected consciousness is already there in buddhi. So whatever comes there, so sometimes good or sometimes bad, sometimes enjoyment, sometimes suffering, it will happen according to the object appeared or reflected in intellect. So this is what happens. Paraspara vilakshanaha. This is already we have discussed this. This each has different characters. So paraspara vilakshanaha. Characteristically different forms they have, because guna vishesha, because their manifestation of guna is different. Therefore, they have different characters. Although they have different characters, but they work together for the purpose of Krishnam Purushasyartham Prakashya. Krishna means entire, whatever comes there, all objects. Purushasyartham, the object for Purusha. Prakashya. Prakashya, the word is used here, but Prakashya means exhibiting or producing, showing. Prakashya buddhau prayachanti. This ahankara and all other indriyas, they lead the object taken from outside to the buddhi. So they are the carriers. So buddhau prayachanti. They carry towards the buddhi. Now you see, they are very careful. They are not saying that it is given to Purusha. No, it will not reach the Purusha. Purusha is asanka, is untouched with anything. It is different from all the activities of buddhi, mind, indriyas, no connection with those. So this is called bhoga. This is what is happening, is called bhoga. Krishnasya Purushasyartham Prakashya Buddha Prayachanti. So in this bhoga, the enjoyment and suffering will be there. And along with this bhoga, in the last part or after the bhoga, the final emancipation called kaivalya will also come. The final satisfaction. The final satisfaction is separation. And what is that separation? Discriminative knowledge. Here the discriminative knowledge is not there. When the discriminative knowledge comes, bhoga ends. That is what Sankhya says. If you know these objects are separate from me, so there the bhoga ends. Then there the viveka starts, the discrimination and the knowledge starts. So therefore bhoga means the experience. There is one sutra, interesting sutra in Yoga Sutra 335. It says, what is bhoga? Sattva purushayor atyanta asankirnayo pratyaya avishesho bhoga. You say how it is defined. The same thing is here. Sattva purushayor atyanta asankirnayo. Sattva means this intellect, the reflected consciousness. So here, whenever we say intellect, sometimes I repeat when I remember. Otherwise also you must think intellect is not the intellect what we normally talk about. The intellect here is reflected consciousness. It's called intellect. So therefore, sattva means reflected consciousness. There the word sattva is used instead of intellect, buddhi. So sattva purushayo, atyanta asankirnayo. They are completely separate. They cannot be one. They cannot unite. Asankirna. There is no combination, confusion, nothing. So it is completely separate because they are two different characteristics with the Prakriti and Purusha. So one is consciousness and the other one is unconscious. So the consciousness and non-consciousness cannot be connected. Therefore, they are completely separate. Now what happens? Says pratyaya avishesho bhoga. But there is one confusion, some reflection or some confusion happens. In that confusion, the bhoga enjoyment will happen. So the enjoyment is a confusion. So you are not separating what is Purusha and what is Prakriti. So the enjoyment happens. That is what it says. So the pratyaya avishesha. Pratyaya avishesha means this reflected consciousness, as here it is mentioned. When intellect exhibit or show the object in it, the consciousness is identified with that, is enjoyable. So when I say I see, who is seeing? The seer is really the intellect. Intellect is seeing, intellect is knowing. But I say I am doing that. Why? Because I don't have a separate identity in this condition without intellect. Now, as we talk about personality, what is personality? If you don't, your mind is not good, your intellect is not working, you don't have a good physique. Now, what is your personality? If he is a good person, in what sense? So, because we can only see all this as functioning person, the functioning personalities, and the consciousness, we are not seeing the consciousness. So consciousness is not seen, not understood. Therefore, the all process of experience and enjoyment or whatever happens with this body and mind is with this confusion, pratyaya avishesha, non-differentiation of the experiences of knowledge. Pratyaya can be said as cognition or knowledge or experience. So non-differentiation of the cognition, that is what the bhoga means. Pratyaya vishesho bhoga. Why? The reason is already given. Sattu purushayoho atyanta asankirnadayo. They are completely different. How can be they one? And if they are not one, how the enjoyment or consciousness, this experience can happen? Because from the point of view of consciousness, there is no experience. There is no experience as such in consciousness. Consciousness is experienceless. Why? Because asangoyam purusha cannot have any experience. Now the experience can be assumed there in Prakriti. Okay? Mere Prakriti without consciousness, what experience? If we see, if we say if some experience is the, this tatai, you know, but the mat, this mat has some experience. What does it mean? If I am not experiencing, then mat has no meaning. It has no experience, no nothing. Just nothing. No connection. If I am experiencing, if I am seeing that, then I can say mat is good, or it is useful for me if I am using it. Because mat is not the purpose for itself. The purpose of mat is not for itself. That we already, Sangadasya Pararthata, we already have mentioned that. So therefore, now where this experience can be described, that is what it says, pratyaya avishesha. Because only in the state of confusion we can say there is experience. So whatever experience you have after practicing all this sadhana is also like that. Even samadhi is in this stage, pratyaya avishesha. Samadhi also has the mind, no? Chitta is there. The reflected consciousness is there. So the reflected consciousness experiences the samadhi. That is a higher stage, that is a different story. But the process is the same. So these things you can learn from there. And then another sutra, drashtra drishyoparaktam chittam sarvartham. This is after that, fourth pada, 23rd sutra. Drashtra drishyoparaktam chittam sarvartham. This chitta is omni-active, sarvartha. That is, we say omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient, and similarly omni-active. Why? Sarvartha. It can do everything. So chitta is sarvartha. How chitta got all these qualities? All this omni-activeness? Because drashtra drishyayoho uparaktam. Because that consciousness is reflected in this chitta. Therefore, chitta become omni-active. Though, look how clear it is, you see. Therefore, in these points, regarding this psychology and all this development of minds and of this, we should learn from Yoga Sutras. Because this is very clear. That point is mentioned here but it is little unclear way of describing it. So the Krishnasya Purushasyaartham Prakashya Buddho Prayachandi, this is what we learn from this. And when we learn all this, I am quoting from sutras, like, so you can refer those sutras for more clarity on these points. Okay, we have a chart, we will see the next section. Om Purnamataha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudashyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.